Good evening. The September 21st, 2023 board meeting is now in session. At this time, Mrs. Medina, would you take roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ibarra?
Present.
Mrs. Haro? Mr. Flores? Mr. Hinojeda?
Present.
Mrs. Sandoval? Mr. Fuentes?
Present.
Thank you very much. At this time, Dr. Miranda, would you please lead us in the flag salute? And Ida Velador will be available for Spanish-speaking parents, people. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fuentes, sorry. Oh, do I do that?
Okay. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ada Velador y seré la intérprete esta tarde y estoy ubicada en la parte de atrás. Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Shall we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Your arm over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Thank you very much.
Forget about them. We get up and.
We are now at item 1.3, adoption of the September 21st, 2023 agenda. Could I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda with the following amendments? Withdraw action item 7.33, approval of agreement with PCH Architects Incorporated for the architectural and engineering services for the exterior window replacement at various campuses project. Have a motion, please?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Board Member Haro and seconded by Board Member Fuentes to adopt the agenda as recommended. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? So a motion by Board Member Haro and a second by Board Fuentes. On a 6-0 vote, the board adopted the agenda as recommended. Tonight, we have honored guests. We have Colton High School. Principal Abbott, would you please come and introduce your students?
Good evening, Board President Dorian Ojeda, Superintendent Dr. Randa, Board of Education, esteemed colleagues, guests, families, friends. Tonight is Colton High School Yellow Jackets Showcase, and I proudly introduce to you our ASB Leadership Yellow Jackets. It does work.
Good evening, Board President Dorian Ojeda, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, Executive Cabinet, and community members. My name is Juan Barone, and I'm the ASB President of Colton High School.
And my name is Rosario Hernandez, and I am the ASB Vice President at Colton High School.
My name is Aubrey Gonzalez, and I am the sophomore class president at Colton High School.
And my name is Nia Perez, and I'm the freshman class president at Colton High School.
We would like to thank you all for your time, and would like to present the Colton High School Student Showcase.
To start off, the All-Spring Award ceremony divided by grade level. This ceremony highlighted student achievement in the fields of Student of the Month and PBIS. During this event hosted by Renaissance, students were encouraged to participate through cheering on their peers and taking pictures of this memorable event. Next up, in April 2023, ASB hosted their annual prom at the Biltmore Hotel in LA, and the theme was Old Money and New Memories. Unexpectedly, we were upgraded from the Crystal Ballroom to the Rose Room, which allowed us to turn a grand event to a more memorable experience for those who attended.
Now, in April, ASB put together our exciting spring pep rally in the Kin Hubs gym. The rally was arranged around a glow-in-the-dark Nickelodeon theme. Our thrilling rally featured performances from the dance and cheer team, along with the marching routine led by NJROTC, and a beautiful rendition of the national anthem by senior Vivian Guevara. We highlighted our school's spring sports teams and filled the rally with games, prom court announcements, and a surprise promposal. Here are some more pictures from our lovely spring rally. On May 1st, ASB held our annual commitment ceremony in our Tom Rivera MPR. Seniors who had made a choice on which college they planned to study at attended this ceremony. They stood on stage and signed off, committing to the next chapter of their lives while being cheered on by friends and family. Then, on May 16th, the Film and Media Arts Club hosted CHS's very first mini film festival. Treated to popcorn, club members and students gathered around in our MPR and enjoyed the 14 films made by our aspiring actors and filmmakers. Also hosted in May was our spring music concert, which encompassed the performances of choir, jazz band, and wind ensemble. This concert was significant as it marked the last for seniors who had spent years growing alongside the programs.
To highlight the class of 2023, we recognized our male and female Ken Hubs nominees, Denise Diaz and Colton Suchil. Now to recognize our winter sports. For girls soccer, recognition for All-League San Andreas goes to Samara Barboza, Adeline Moreno. An honorable mention for girls basketball is Savannah Govea. For boys soccer, Yahir Rodriguez earned San Andreas League Offensive MVP. Also in boys soccer, Julian Soberanes, Manuel Alonso, Miguel Marcelo, and Carlos Alberto all earned All-League San Andreas. And lastly, in boys basketball, Devin Torres earned recognition for All-League Skyline.
Next up, CHS hosted their annual Abbott Stoll ceremony, which they recognized Abbott students for their hard work and their total years of being a part of this college preparatory class. Additionally, NHS hosted their banquet, which allowed all students involved to come together and experience one last end-of-the-year NHS event. Seniors who attended also received their graduation stole for this club. Lastly, Dancing with the Staff was a fun event the dance team hosted so that CHS staff could come together and enjoy some dancing and music. Beginning last November, CHS team participating in the Inland Solar Challenge, where students' teams are tasked with the construction of a solar-powered boat, as well as creating a presentation on the importance of water conservation, placing fifth out of a group of 10 local teams. On August 1st, they would be honored by Colton Water and Power at the City Hall. Moving on to Senior Sunset on May 12th, which was hosted by our lovely ASB seniors so that the whole class of 2023 could come together for one last ride, which was themed Western. During this event, seniors participated in activities such as writing one message on a balloon and letting their balloons go all at the same time. Another memorable moment was when they all got the chance to read their letters they wrote to themselves at the start of the year during Senior Sunrise. A great way for them to look back on their goals or ambitions, or simply just how they were doing at the start of the year and reflect how things have changed or not. The following event hosted for seniors was the Senior Awards Night on May 17th, which allowed all seniors to get recognized for their hard work and dedication. Scholarships were also granted during this event for those applicants who were chosen based upon their academics or athletics, to receive the financial help being offered for their future studies. Now, for the biggest event we all strive for, graduation. The class of 2023 commemorated their graduation on May 26th, where they earned their diploma, actually their diploma holder, and they are now ready to move on to their education. During the ceremony, the seniors announced their senior gift as a symbol to never forget the class of 2023 for future generations to come. This gift was a plaque of the Yoki with their class imprinted on it. The gift was placed right in front of the NPR, which allows all students entering the NPR a glimpse of this memory.
As always, Link Crew conducts freshman follow-ups every first and third Wednesday of the month, with the purpose to help guide the freshmen in their academics or in any other questions they may have. Link Crew also celebrates one student for Freshman of the Month, which is awarded to a freshman who has displayed excellent achievement in their academics and have followed the PBIS expectations.
Here, let me move this a little bit. To begin our activities for the fall of 2023, I would like to recognize the TOPS program at CHS. TOPS, also known as the Transitional Opportunity Program, is for students 18 to 22 with varying levels of disabilities. Given more focus than ever before, this integral program has allowed students to receive life skills and become more involved members of their community. Starting off the year strong, on Friday, August 4th, we welcomed back our students onto campus with a DJ from the radio station 92.3 FM, The Beat. Introducing this year's Fun Friday activities, students were able to participate in challenges and win prizes such as concert tickets or tickets to Six Flags. And although providing our students with a plethora of opportunities and experiences is one of our top priorities, it's also important to place emphasis on the educational aspect as well. Implemented to measure student achievement, students at Colton High School would participate in NWEA MAPS testing from August 7th to 11th, highlighting student growth in reading, language usage, math, and science. Continuing on with the week of August 7th, on August 11th from 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., the ASB senior class would host our annual senior sunrise. During this event, students were provided with donuts, drinks, music, and games, and were able to watch the sun rise on our senior year, finishing off the event by writing a letter to our future selves. Further in the day, during lunch, ASB would host a taste testing where students would be given complimentary samples of lemonade and iced tea. Through this event, we would be able to spread positivity and continue making that Friday one to be remembered. Themed Crimson and Gold, our Welcome Back Pep Rally would be hosted on August 18th, 2023. During this event, we would be able to raise school spirit by showcasing the fall sports, as well as offering performances by cheer, band, and our student grupo known as Nueva Alianza. By participating in games and ending off our rally with class chants, we are able to make this a rally to remember as one of our first.
Thank you.
So then, after that, you would see more pictures of the fall rally, and then if you turn to the next slide, we can see the next events. Following the Welcome Back Pep Rally, athletics and ASB would work together to host our Alumni Night football game later that day at 7 p.m. Themed blackout, admissions would be free to the public as we all joined in together, cheering on our Colton Yellow Jackets. On August 25th, the Colton High School versus Grand Terrace High School rivalry game would take place. Themed whiteout, we would work towards building enthusiasm in our student section dubbed the Hive, as we enjoyed another amazing game. In honor of those who gave us their service, September 8th's football game would be the Military and First Responders Night. Beginning at 5 p.m., those who signed up were able to enjoy dinner, followed by the 7 p.m. football game. And then you can turn over to the next page. To inspire our freshman students and push them towards the direction of success, the Rescue a Generation organization would give their presentation to help inspire the class of 2027. top 10, and AP exams. And starting a new tradition on campus, working with the times, Pepper Bell has begun working on a digital magazine highlighting what's going on at CHS on the weekly. We would like to call it The Pulse. And then you can turn over to the next page, please. On September 14th, we began our activities during lunchtime by hosting our annual Club Rush. During this event, students were introduced to the different organizations we have to offer on campus. Afterwards, ASB would host the senior info meeting during 6th period, informing our seniors about the different events and activities scheduled throughout the year. With many important dates and deadlines set towards their future, the CHS counseling staff, as well as Herf Jones, would also contribute their time. After school, CHS hosted our very own back-to-school night, inviting students and families alike to join in on our live performances, activities, and after-school club rush. With a more diverse audience, ASB would once again host the Senior Info Night presentation, followed by a showcase of performances delivered by band, cheer, and the dance team. Although the band would begin learning music later than usual as a result of a transition to a new band director, under the guidance of and watch of Mr. Campbell, they were able to perform well not only at our showcase, however also throughout our games and rallies. And then on September 15th, the Heal Pathway hosted their annual blood drive, raising the amount of blood available through donors on campus.
The highlight of our spring sports is Colton High's swim team, who earned the Principal's Award for earning highest team GPA. Next up, we have our fall sports, which are football, cross country, volleyball, girls tennis, and sideline cheer. One of the highlights for sideline cheer was their Little Jackets camp. Students from kindergarten through 8th grade had the opportunity to practice with CHS cheer and perform at one of the Friday night lights alongside our cheer team.
We continue to have our weekly PBIS lessons on minimum days during our extended second period. Our teachers also hand out yellow jacket tickets to those who are being responsible, respectful, and acting with integrity.
Also, on September 16th, Colton High School hosted their first successful Step Up Saturday of the school year, where students were able to study with their peers and make up their attendance all at the same time.
Now that we have gone over what has happened on campus, I would like to take this opportunity to present some of the upcoming activities events that we have scheduled for this year. On October 5th, in support of breast cancer awareness, we will be having our Pink Out football game. The All-School Synergy, hosted by Link Crew, Hispanic Heritage Month will be held on October 13th, and the NHS induction ceremony will take place on October 18th, welcoming in new scholars. Our Unity Spirit Week will be hosted from October 16th through the 20th, and the Homecoming Rally Parade and Halftime Show will be held on October 20th, as our dance will be held on October 21st. ASB will be hosting our annual food drive from November 6th through November 9th, and the Semester 1 All-School Award Ceremony will be hosted by Renaissance on December 8th. We would like to thank you for your time, and we would stand for any questions that you have. Thank you.
So got to study and you got to learn, right? because you want to be successful in whatever you do. So just a comment, once again, thank you. Great presentation. Always be prepared. Good job. Have a great day.
And so thank you for that. And it's amazing to see all of the different activities that you have and for our students to enjoy. And we know that school is about learning, but we also want you to have fun, because if you're having fun, you're going to enjoy the learning part too. So thank you for making it such an enjoyable experience, and to your ASB director for all of the Yellow Jackets at Colton High School. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrell.
Thank you, Joanne. I also want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. As you stand in front of the Board of Education and our superintendent, it's evident that each and every one of you are an integral part of what goes on at Cone High School. That's an important feature, because you're the leadership there. You're the ones that provide all these programs, come up with all these ideas, and you work along with keeping your GPA up at a level that allows you to be able to go out there and service your high school community. So I take my hats out to you because of all the work that you put in. And, you know, you're definitely busy. There's no doubt about it. Everything that you showed us today, I know that there's actually more than that. I'm very familiar with what goes on in those ASB classrooms and how much work you put into it. So I just want to say thank you for bringing a bit of Cone High School to the board, and continue doing a wonderful job, not only for yourselves, but for every person that goes to that school, because you make it enjoyable for being a student in these days. And I want to take an opportunity to thank our ASB leadership, our principal, and all those that are not here that also stand by you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Mr. Flores.
I'll be very brief, but first of all, great job. Wonderful presentation. Love to hear what's going on campus. One of the great things about Colton High School is the history and tradition that you get to be part of. Not a lot of schools can say they've been around for 100 years. And so you're part of a school that has tremendous history. I love going to Colton High and seeing the campus because it's changed so much even from the time that I was there. And the energy, the clubs, the excitement that you guys bring, just know, and some of you may be of multi-generational Colton High graduates, which is also very cool. And you're just elevating things, and we're so proud of that. And you're part of a new tradition at Colton High School. This is the first time in a very long time that we've got everybody going to one lunch. And while that's not easy to put together and pull off with everybody, from what I've heard, and I hope, the fact that now you can be together with all of your friends and have everyone, because I know that was a big deal, because if you had split lunches and your friend had one lunch and you had the other, now everybody's together, and that builds unity in the school. So be proud of that, you know, set the standard for that, and make that something that you can share for future generations. But great job today, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. I've already said what a great job I think you did. I have to tell you that sitting behind here is, it's a privilege to be here, but to sit here and watch kids, young people like yourselves, present to us in such a professional manner and show us that you really are having a good time and enjoying it. That does so much for me in my heart, and I know everyone here. Yes, you go to school to learn. You're learning so much right now about leadership by doing this, and you're representing your school very well. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that, and I'm so happy to see that you're having a good time in the process. So keep working hard, keep those GPAs up, but have a whole lot of fun along the way. Thanks. Would you like to come forward and shake our hands so we can say hello? Great job. Very nice, thank you. That was great. I'm serious, it really warms my heart to see such kids enjoying themselves so much and just doing such a great job and proving to us that learning can be fun. Okay, we are moving now to item 3.1, introduction of new management. I will call Assistant Superintendent Dr. Dade to introduce our new management.
Good evening, Board President Thorin Ojeda, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience here and virtually. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome a new member to our management family, our new Director of Nutrition Services, Casey Robertson. You can bring the baby with you if you want, you know, it's up to you. She's so cute, yes. So by default, the husband, you didn't know you were coming up tonight, huh? Yeah. So come on up, join me. Yes. Right, well, Casey has an extensive background. She has a school nutrition specialist certification from the School Nutrition Association. She has an MBA in accounting and management, a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, CSI. She has held positions like Nutrition Service Worker 3, Production Clerk, and most currently, Children Nutrition Services Field Specialist. She currently holds the Marketing Chair position as Executive Board for Chapter 1 of Southern California School Nutrition Association. My favorite part, the fun facts. She has, this is her words, 3 furry critters at home. And I'm from the country, so critters means a lot of different things. But she has 2 rescue dogs, Scotch and Bailey. Yeah. All right. I like that. And 1 fuzzy tarantula named, sorry. So, that's all good. Oh, poor baby. All right. So she like, yep.
Magic.
Yeah. Casey and her husband play recreational poker. They play monthly in a poker league. She once was in a World Series of Poker, played 18 hours straight, and placed second out of 1,100 entrants. So you must have a great poker face. We practice every day in HR. But also during her MBA program, she was selected to be a part of a special group that went to New Orleans and worked with an organization named Youth Rebuilding New Orleans, and their goal was to rebuild the distressed and foreclosed homes to revitalize the area. So Casey has done a lot of great things in that servant leadership mindset, and we're so happy to have you join us here at CJUSD, and I'd like to go ahead and give Casey an opportunity to address the board.
Dr. Miranda, Board President, Board, thank you everyone for having me here. I am just ecstatic to be a part of this district. And I do also want to acknowledge the folks that are here in the audience right now. If you could wave your hand if you're here. So Don't be shy. I want to thank everybody out there that's been a part of my growth journey to this point. So from Rialto Unified School District, from Bonita Unified School District, and Redlands Unified School District. They have been part of this, and they have grown me as an individual to now lead the nutrition team over here at Colton Joint Unified. And I am extremely excited, not only because my daughter's going to be going to Colton Joint Unified, and now I'm going to have an official taste tester. So I just want to say thank you, everybody. I start October 2nd, and I know I'm coming into an amazing team. So thank you, everyone.
Hi, sweetheart.
She's enjoying it.
Say hi. No, that's okay. That's right.
So happy to have you. One more round of applause for Casey, please. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dade. We are now at public hearing resolution number 2413, certification of compliance regarding sufficiency of instructional materials, the 2023-24 Williams settlement. I will open the public hearing. Are there any public comments related to the public hearing? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Item 5.1, public comment for items on the agenda and items not on the agenda. For public comment, each speaker will be invited to the podium and should begin by stating his or her name and residing city. Board Bylaw 9323 states that individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 15 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. This evening, we will begin with Beatrice Garcia.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the time. I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I am here as a parent of a child with special needs. My daughter is diagnosed with autism, ADHD. She's also had a total of 10 plus surgeries. She was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. My daughter is attending Terrace View Elementary School. On September the 6th, she couldn't take it anymore. She had a serious event happen in class where she ran out. She asked for a safe space from the teacher. The teacher denied her that safe space, and come to find out, the teacher had been bullying her for a period of 3 weeks. I took my daughter out of school, decided that her safety was my priority versus education. I requested for assistance from not only the district PPS office, but also from the staff in the school. And pretty much everything that I've requested has been denied for my daughter. Currently, she is at home because the school is denying her to have a safe space to learn. I'm not going to apologize for my daughter taking space in a learning facility or apologize for her diagnosis. They've made her run in extreme heat due to her cleft palate. She gets sick, and them not providing a safe space at the moment has created a ton of emails of absences, a lot of going back and forth. I have provided documentation from her doctors. She is seen and followed by over 13 physicians, specialists, surgeons. We are from San Diego to Loma Linda for all her appointments. I have provided the school with printouts of all her appointments, and the school and the district continue to deny the help that she needs. On top of that, on the third day of her attending school, they lost her on campus for 40 minutes. My daughter was nowhere to be found. Nobody knew where she was at. I am here not only as a parent, but a concerned mother, because currently my daughter, again, she sits at home, and everything that I've requested is just like thin air, nothing, no proper responses from the PPS building or the school. On top of that, we have received retaliation from the school staff.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Miranda will be contacting. Next on the agenda, our next speaker is Stephen Figueroa.
Steve Figueroa, good evening. I'm an education advocate. It's been a long time since I've come to this district, and I've always been able to say great things, but within the last year in the special ed department, I'm going to just say it's taken a downturn. Last year, I brought to the director of special ed's attention a kid who was sending guns and threats to one of the elementary schools. I brought it to various people's attention, and the parent was begging for help. In this particular case, her daughter's had facial reconstruction surgery because of the cleft palate. She gets penalized at school for being absent for that. When we asked for accommodations, the director of special ed said, no, I'm not kidding you. He said, no, you bring a doctor's slip and detail what accommodations. It's kind of obvious for a child with 108 degrees with a cleft palate, you can't run. I said, didn't you know that somebody just died in Lake Elsinore? Last year, Yucaipa settled for $15 million when they ignored a child with disabilities who dropped dead in like 170-degree temperature, right? It's happening on your campus. He didn't even know that there's a rule that when you reach a certain temperature, you probably shouldn't be having physical education for some of the students. When we asked for a copy of the Public Records Act on Title I funding, as far as like the tutoring that she could get while she's out of school, he claimed to have no idea what Title I was and the different types of fundings in Title I. So we're here also to get a public information request on where your Title I money is being spent. A complete breakdown, especially in the area of what's being afforded for tutoring. Because in the special education department, they're claiming to have no knowledge of this. We asked for various assessments that she needs just to coordinate with her outside physicians, and the answer is no. Our concern is her life is at risk if they're not going to adhere to Section 504, if they're not going to adhere to special education and force her to run. That, 3 weeks ago, the weather's nice now. It was 108 degrees, right? But now it's nice, so we're forgetting it. But her daughter was forced to run in that temperature. We can't have that. And we at this point, we don't want to meet with your special ed director no more. We have total disappointment in him. I could bring probably a dozen parents that were similar stories for the students I advocate in this district. And many of them are just upset. We're not asking for much. We're asking for an IEP consistent with her needs. We're asking for the appropriate assessments that she needs, and not to be penalized for being disabled. That's not unreasonable. I mean, how many of us have had facial reconstruction because of a cleft palate? That should not be a reason for discipline or referral. But where she goes at Terrace Elementary School, it's a reason. Prove it. They actually said, prove it to us, just in a meeting a few days ago. Prove it. All the medical documentation is not sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, Russell Levine.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President, Thorning Ojeda, Board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, members of the audience. My name is Russ Levine. I'm a teacher at Colton High School. And as a district, from school board superintendent down the line to teachers, it's critical that there is a clear message that drives all of our decisions. And if that message is that Colton cares, then everybody needs to demonstrate that through action, that Colton cares about students, not just something on a t-shirt. I encourage the board and executive cabinet to make this directive a priority, and I want you to hear how lack of clarity plays out within our district. Some school sites are adding SIPSA positions on a district directive, and I understand the role of the position, but the effects of potential actions initiated mid-semester are seen by myself and others as a deliberate infliction of damage upon students and schools. When money drives decision-making rather than what is best for our students, that message is clear. We don't care. In our district, we're faced with declining enrollment. As a result, Ed Services makes staffing decisions, which are all well and good, but not being crystal clear about when and how those decisions are made and implemented demonstrates a lack of foresight about the potential repercussions. This is what happened in our high school, and this needs clarity. A teacher should not be pulled from a classroom to take another position without having a replacement ready to go. Without that replacement, choices of start dates within the semester should be moot and not presented as an option. It should be made clear that there should only be 2 times Ed Services makes decisions for not replacing a teacher. 1 over the summer, 2 at semester break. I live and breathe a student's first approach, and I was enraged when I received this email that shifts to master schedule were being made mid-semester, and student schedules and teacher schedules are going to change. And there is not one piece of educational research that proves that larger class sizes or decisions like this are good pedagogy. My intent for this is not to throw anybody under the bus, but rather to initiate a conversation and a laser focus that in Colton, we put students first, and it shows in everything that we do. Your fiduciary duty is to choose the path of least disruption, and act in the best interest of students always, not a bottom line. For example, right now in our district, we have over $60 million in unrestricted reserves. The cost of replacement for 1 teacher due to an internal promotion like this is 0.2%. That 0.2%, that should not be used as a decision making. We have the money, we can make the right decisions, we can put students first. And so I just want to say to everybody in here, to board, Dr. Miranda, administrators are inside of here, if you're making decisions that are negatively impacting our students in the classroom, then you are not demonstrating that Colton cares.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Our next speaker, Lisa Villa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Villa, and I live in Colton. I'd like to give a shout out to my son, since I just mentioned him, Colton Sucho, who was the Ken Hub's nominee, which is a very prestigious award. And he hasn't got acknowledged by you guys or put on your post or anything, but it is a big deal. So I'm here for on other reasons, but unfortunately, I had to miss the last board meeting because the Colton High football booster audit findings had just come out. And I had a meeting with a prominent member of the Colton community to discuss the findings of that audit report so that we can collaborate together in moving forward with criminal charges to be filed. I quietly waited all these months, assuming a financial audit was being performed on the Colton High football boosters, only to find out that the district had an audit done on which bylaws were not followed, so that the football boosters could be banned or revoked or whatever you want to call it. No one knew that the 50/50s were illegal, not even the district office. All these years, you weren't concerned with the $44,000 of the misappropriated funds, you suddenly decided to look into the Colton High football boosters after all these years of alleged money embezzlement, fraud, and so forth. Gary Gross's himself told you, it is me that should be considered the hero here. It was I that started asking questions. There were many red flags for me from day one that I started. It was then that I believed that I had opposition, because I was not okay with how much money was being, or how the money was being handled. I invite you to have a conversation with me. Don't you want to know? How come you don't go off of my word because I'm not related to you? I have documented facts from the audit myself. The audit was based off of facts that the treasurer gave them. They didn't even have access to the account. Can you imagine how much more was misappropriated? Why can't we do a financial audit and hold those responsible accountable? We hold our children accountable for every little thing. Let's make an example and make it clear to people that we will no longer tolerate anyone disrespecting our Colton sports. All of this happened under the previous administration, Murphy and Sunderland as the AD, all under your watch. What are we going to do to hold people accountable? This is not okay, and I'm here to have a conversation with you. I have nothing to hide. Let's have a talk and put it out there and let our whole community know what's been going on all these years. It didn't suddenly happen under my watch. It's been going on. Thank you for your time. Go Colton Suchel.
At this time, we'll start administrative presentations. Item 6.1, Elementary Literacy Task Force Update. Dr. Hyder, would you come forward, please?
Good evening, Board President Joan Thoring Ojeda, Board Member, Superintendent Miranda, and members of the audience. I am Syed Haider, Director of Elementary Education. It is my honor and pleasure to present the Literacy Task Force report with our Literacy Task Force members. Some of the task force members are right here by me, and they will be presenting some of the presentation with me. And I also want to recognize we have many of our Literacy Task Force members who are here to support the program and the report. So if you can please stand up, and we want to thank you for all your hard work. And before I begin, board members and executive cabinet, I also want to let you know you have a copy of our handy dandy Literacy Task Force report. We will be referencing this throughout our presentation. But before I begin, I have to give props to the Colton High students. I thought this morning I was prepared, but they were prepared. Because I'm thankful that the screen is working now, but because we didn't make copies of the presentation. So I have a lot to learn. Our learning never ends. Mr. Abbott, kudos to your students. So I have a clicker. This is our wonderful Literacy Task Force team from last year. The task force, just so that you know, consists of teachers and TOAs from all our elementary site. Additionally, there are site administrators and representatives from ACE, Language Support Services, and PPS. We appreciate all the groups that supported this endeavor. And these were our members from last year. Today, I will start by sharing with you some of the contextual analysis that helped the Literacy Task Force develop its vision and some of the recommendations we will share with you. One of the most memorable days as part of this Literacy Task Force was visiting different successful and effective classrooms within our Colton Joint Unified School District. We witnessed some amazing examples of reading lessons that were engaging, thoughtful, and geared for student achievement. Many of the primary grade teachers used science of reading strategies for their reading lesson. Although I just recently learned the term science of reading because of its wide use and publicity, Many of our teachers and TOAs were actually learning about the science of reading as far back as 2016 through letters. Letters stands for Language Essential for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. Our first letters cohort, that's the picture you see here in this boardroom. We had lots of letters training here. Our first letters cohort graduated in 2017 under the superb coaching and mentorship of Dr. Fierro. We have been using the letters professional development since then, and that is one of the few PDs that has been highly praised and embraced by many, many teachers. Even teachers with reservations are impressed with the body of knowledge and information that is conveyed in this course. So where is the success from this wonderful learning? Here is a look at our CASP report from 2022. All our elementary grades outperformed the surrounding districts significantly. This was after 2 years of COVID shutdown. If you look at the third grade, which is the first 4 bars at the beginning of the graph, you will see our CJUSD third grade students scored 30% proficiency, whereas the district that was closest to us was Rialto, they had 27%. If we move across the spectrum and look at our 6th grade from 2022, they performed at 38%, and the district that was closest to us, San Bernardino, was at 35%. However, there are different ways we can look at our scores and our performance. This is another way of looking at it. If we look at a longitudinal analysis of our third grade growth, we see, unfortunately, the growth is uneven and inconsistent from year to year. Additionally, achievement in our district varies significantly from site to site. The third grade CASP score for 2022 demonstrate a significant variance from site to site, with some sites exceeding the state average significantly, and some sites well below the district average. Looking at more local data, which is DIBELS, which addresses the primary literacy for K1-2 grades, indicate that almost 40% of our K2 students are reading well below grade level. Prior to the pandemic, we had discussed with our LCAP TOAs and our principals the possible reasons for our incremental and inconsistent progress. Before we were able to address some of these underlying issues, unfortunately, COVID arrived and significantly shifted our priorities and method of instruction. Post-COVID, the gap further increased and literacy has become an even greater priority. This is an issue that requires all parties to work collaboratively and share responsibilities. These parties include our teachers, our administrators, our students, our parents, guardians, and of course, our district folks. The wonderful professionals here who were part of the Literacy Task Force have done a year's worth of research, and they have collaborated extremely well. I'm really proud to be part of this group to develop a set of recommendations on how to enhance our instruction to achieve more consistent growth across CJUSD. I will now hand over to Ms. Kowalski to talk a little more about the report.
Thank you, Dr. Hyder. Good evening, Board President, Board members, Dr. Miranda. I am Amy Kowalski, one of the Curriculum Program Specialists for Elementary Educational Services. This is, I'm proud to say, my 28th year with Colton Joint Unified. I am also a National Letters Trainer on the side, evenings and weekends, teaching educators from across the nation. So on this slide, you can see, what did the task force do? Well, we spent the first half of last year doing research, lots of research on what successful districts are doing, both within our state of California. We also researched successful states within the nation in other states, as well as research on the most effective literacy instructional strategies. We then did a deep dive analyzing our own district's data. And as we looked at this data, we decided we wanted to visit these effective classrooms, the classrooms where we saw where there were some consistent patterns of high scores over the years. So we decided as a task force to visit over 30 classrooms across 6 school sites, and we were observing just what instructional strategies are they using. And then we spent basically the next few months after that streamlining and collaborating with all of our findings from both the research and the patterns we observed in our school visits, and developed recommendation strategies with detailed action steps, all drafted in the report in front of you. On this slide, you can see everyone was very engaged and dedicated to our task of trying to improve literacy for CJUSD. So in your report, as well as on your slides that you have, notice the table of contents. And on the slides, you're able to click on them. They are live links that will take you straight to that section of our report. Also, just in the layout of the report, notice in the very back of your report are the resources and articles that we utilized in our research. These are also live links on your slideshows, so you can go straight to the same research that we went through for that first half of last year. And finally, notice on the back cover we have a few QR codes. You can use your phone's camera and access links to both podcasts and a very powerful documentary that we all found, all of those, the podcasts and the documentary, very powerful. So with our report, we also got teacher feedback. Towards the end of last school year, our draft report was shared at each site by our literacy task force members. And the site grade level teams then filled out a survey to provide us with feedback. And it was really encouraging to see patterns of positive feedback from our recommendations to many of our recommendations, especially the need for professional development and resources and curriculum that are better aligned with the science of reading. This is not just another initiative. The recommendations in this report will support our teachers in improving achievement of our English learners, as well as all of our students. Improved Tier 1 instruction will lead to improved student achievement across our elementary sites. These recommendations actually complement the focuses we have in regards to the Department of Justice agreement, which requires the district to improve achievement of our English language learners. I'm going to hand over to our next colleague, Sarah.
Good evening, board members and executive board. My name is Sarah Avila Dement. I'm a second grade teacher at Grand Terrace Elementary, and this is my 26th year, 26th year of teaching for Colton Joint Unified. My fellow task force members and I are so excited that our labor of love is finally in your hands. I will begin by sharing our vision statement for literacy. In the Colton Joint Unified School District, we believe that every student has the right to be a proficient reader by 3rd grade and a literate graduate. We will accomplish this by creating literacy-focused environments that use systematic and research-based curriculum. Our students will achieve literacy proficiency through the use of intentional, engaging, and effective research-based practices that are responsive to our students' needs. Next.
Good evening, my name is Ellie Carley. I'm a 5th grade teacher at DRC Elementary. I'm also serve as elementary director on the ACE Executive Board. So I'm going to go a little bit over our strategies that we plan to, oh, thank you, sorry. You were supposed to do I'm going to go over a couple sets of our strategies that are in your beautiful plan. So first of all, we are looking at professional learning strategies for all of our elementary teachers. Strategy 1 is to develop a plan and deliver letters training to all elementary teachers. And I want to say I am a graduate of the inaugural letters training. I just finished Friday with, I believe, Sarah and a couple others. So as Amy stated, we want to improve our Tier 1 instruction. And to do that, we need to make sure that we have consistency in all elementary schools as we're going forth. And letters training provides the idea of science of reading and really supports those instructional strategies that are important for students to gain literacy. Trust me, it was eye-opening to me. It was amazing. Strategy 2 is to train administrators to become advocates for research-based reading instruction so that they're familiar with the science of reading and can support their teachers in the classroom. And finally, for professional learning, we would really like to find universities that are teaching or implementing the science of reading and trying to partner with those universities so that way we can get teachers prepared as they're coming into the classroom to provide that way of instruction. Our next set of strategies have to do with instruction. So if you look at page 21 of your plan, that shows an instruction based on progression of foundational skills. So basically it's a scope and sequence beginning from TK kindergarten and moving on and working with those students to gain those skills as they individually need them. So teachers would follow that scope and sequence so that students are successful and hopefully gain that vision that we have of making them literate by 3rd grade. Strategy 2 is to allocate a set of instructional minutes that are supported by the science of reading, and that's on page 22. So we're looking at kind of changing the ELA block a bit, and it's recommended for each grade level, focusing on word work, reading, and writing, and of course, phonics and phonemic awareness. And then our next strategy is staffing. So we would like to provide letters-trained literacy TOAs for each site. We're recommending starting with 2 to 3 pilot sites for 23-24. The job duties, as based on the feedback that we gain from our teachers, and as we move forward to this new knowledge of science of reading instruction, we need to significantly support them, and that's what they're asking for. So the job description would include modeling effective literacy lessons and co-planning and co-teaching with our teachers. And after they do these lessons, they would be providing feedback and helping teachers reflect on those lessons. It would also involve our community and work with our community, providing parent classes, including those for English language learners, and hosting several literacy events that are focused on the science of reading. And then finally, they would be providing additional student intervention support in addition to what the teacher's doing in the classroom as well as our TOAs. And I'm going to pass it on to Amy Anderson, and she's going to talk about our next set of strategies.
Thank you. All right, good evening. My name is Amy Anderson. I am one of the TOAs at Sycamore Hills Elementary. In my 23 years with our district, I have actually been a TOA for 17 of those years. So it was split between working with our English learners at Smith and now with the literacy focus at Sycamore Hills as the LCAP TOA. I'm also a letters professional learning facilitator working with teachers from all over the country in my personal time. So looking at our next 3 big areas that you have in front of you, our next area of action is in regards to curriculum, which is a big topic. So a new English language arts curriculum adoption is still a few years away, but it's a task force recommendation to adopt at that time an ELA and ELD curriculum that does align with the science of reading in order to better support our Tier 1 instruction. Until that time then, our plan is to create a more systematic scope and sequence that does align with foundational reading skills. And so we want to align that with our current adoption, which is our Wonders program. As our students are developing reading skills, we know that decodable texts that provide controlled practice around phonics skills are necessary for our students to have in classrooms and in school libraries. We know how important it is for students to be successful with reading, so having lots of books available that they can successfully read will start their love of reading. And the elementary schools will also be provided with a list of resources that support our science of reading strategies so that schools can make sure that classrooms have access to those materials. Next, we have our intervention strategies. So it is important for teachers to use data from multiple measures in order to identify students who are in need of further intervention, and then to group the students based around the skills that the students need work on, and so we can provide our interventions in that way. We want our interventions to align with what the science of reading is telling us about how students best learn how to read. So we want to be consistent with our progress monitoring then of these interventions to ensure that our students are making adequate growth with literacy. And finally, we would like to implement a literacy-based summer program for additional support. And our final big topic is assessment. Of course, we know assessment is important. The Literacy Task Force plans to re-examine and modify our current assessments in order to align them with what the science says about how students learn how to read. To help with this, our team is planning to create some checkpoints for teachers to monitor if students are making adequate progress. And as soon as we notice students are struggling, we want to be able to provide those important interventions as soon as possible, again, based around the student's needs. One of our long-term goals then would be to also include a parent-friendly progress report and report card that would include how the student is progressing through these foundational reading skills so that we have that communication piece happening very early on. So, thank you.
We know we have a lot more work to do, and here are some of our top priorities for this next school year. Our first one is creating a literacy Google site with resources for our teachers, and I'm happy to say we've made a lot of progress with this, and we can't wait to get it into the hands of our teachers. The second is to create a resource that uses elements of our adopted curriculum that best align with the science of reading practices, and this will definitely include suggestions for both integrated and designated ELD. Another thing we were going to do is to create suggestions for supplemental resources to use in the literacy components where there are gaps from Wonders. And last, and probably the most important and most exciting, but also biggest feat, will be to create a scope and sequence for foundational literacy skills along with grade level checkpoints. I know we've shared a lot of information with you this evening, but it all comes down to this simple message that must drive our next steps. As a district who seeks equity in all of our practices, we must remember reading is a right, not a privilege. Thank you.
Sarah was supposed to point to our t-shirts. She forgot. So we'll be happy to take any questions if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful presentation. I'm going to start because I was a reading teacher for several years, and this makes me, I know a lot of people, football, reading, I just get excited. Sorry, folks. But when I look at this, when I saw scope and sequence, I'm thinking, every day everybody's doing, the kids, all the skills right there, and you've got so much work ahead of you, but you've done so much, and this is really exciting to me because I see our assessments and our kids just making that goal of reading by third grade. I'm really excited. So thank you for all the work you've done and the dedication, because our kids do deserve this. So, okay. Who else would like to share today? Mr. Pat?
Okay.
You choose.
Okay, I just want to thank you. I know you don't go home when we have board meetings and sit and listen to the board meetings, but if you did, you would hear the common thread from this board is literacy. Constant it's always comes up in our topic of conversation, reading by third grade. This is what our students need. What are we going to do? And it's like, ta-da, You came and here, this is, you can tell by the detail in this report and what we want to accomplish, that this was a labor of love from all of you who truly, we all care about our kids, but y'all went the extra mile with working on this. This didn't just happen overnight. I mean, let alone just all of these links that we can go to. I mean, that took a long time to research, all the research behind this. And just, this is what we've been wanting. Something that is tangible, that we can look at and follow and have accountability for our students, for our teachers. This is wonderful. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who worked on it, everybody who's here to support you, who's not up there speaking. We all know that you were behind this too. And this is just, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrell. Mr. Ibarra.
Thank you, Joanne. First word comes to my mind, exciting. Exciting opportunity. I want to thank each and every one of you who participated in this. The board and our superintendent, we've been talking a lot about literacy and the improvement, and we know the importance of all our students to be able to read, comprehend, answer questions, because that's the key to every subject, every bit of learning. So as you were doing your presentation, I was looking through this as an educator myself. I started to see and start thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? And you answered a lot of those questions, and it was really nicely outlined here. My main question right now, though, to our superintendent, what are we doing to prepare to support this effort? You know, they mentioned they'd like to start off with 2 to 3 schools, okay? And I'd like to see, if possible, the schools, as the teachers get trained, because I believe there's some training, to have one in each one of our areas. One in Colton, one in Grand Terrace, and one in Bloomington. So that we could start spreading out the area. But I know that there's always, to anything, there's an adoption, financial cost, and you know, you don't have to answer it now, but I'd love to hear how we are going to support the efforts of these wonderful teachers and administrators so that we could see this become successful and see what our students are capable of doing when given this opportunity. So.
And I'll say this, that is the plan, to support the literacy task force with what you're bringing. So we're committed. We have been committed to what you're bringing to the table and the vision. So we're excited about it. And so we're going to do everything. We're not going to try. We're going to do it and make it happen.
And yes. And if I may, with the board, I would personally love, and I think all of us would, is periodical updates on how this is developing, how is it working, what are the things that are working well, and how, and going back to what this body can do, what can we do to help our teachers get this done? So, and that's what I'd like to make sure that we do follow up, and so that this can flourish into something that the effort that they put in and the effort they're planning on putting in, and our students could thrive. So.
And that's the plan too, to continually update the board of the progress, and we will continue to do that.
And I like your logo, even though you didn't show it off, but yes, it is all right. Yes, whoever put that together or that idea, my hat's off to you.
And we can get you shirts too. I think, unless it's copyrighted or something, but with your permission, we'll figure it out.
$13.99.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Any other comments? Mr. Flores.
Thank you. Yes, exciting is definitely the word. I do have a few questions, though, just to get a little more background and assurance that this is clearly something that's evidence-based. It is research-based. I mean, this is what we're talking about, really where we need to go in that direction. First question has to do, and there was a reference to our English learners, ensuring that this strategy, this curriculum, is something that's going to work well with, yes, our English learner population and those teachers and the strategies and the curriculum we have there. I'm also thinking in terms of our dual immersion program, which while it's small, it is growing and it needs to be seamless and supportive in that as well. And of course, our special education students, as we integrate our students into the classes and we make sure that they're given the same access and equity. Is this something that lends itself well to that? Or are we going to have to create things that allow for a seamless strategy or seamless flow?
I will answer a little bit and I'll ask Amy to add more. So letters, many of the strategies that letters, again, it's not a program, just want to be clear, it's a body of research that gives us, like starting from brain research to how our students learn. One of the key features that if you follow letters, you will see how to help students with dyslexia. So, and it addresses like, for students who are not successful. And I'll be honest, like sometimes we get consumed that this is the only way to teach reading. And sometimes like, we see the swing of pendulum where like, you put books in front of kids and that's how they learn. We have learned, yes, some middle class students may learn that way. I didn't learn phonemic awareness as a kid and I somehow managed. My parents didn't read me any books, but I can still read now. I think I can. But there are lots of kids who struggle. And so what Letters does that it actually looks at the science, like what is the brain doing, and specifically for students who are struggling, students who may not get the support at home, or students who did not come with the background from preschool or other daycare facilities. So it really narrows down, and it's good for everybody. It's good for our EL, it's good for our special ed and all students, but it also, there are modifications we can make. And also, like we said, we use DIBELS data. We have another program that's called Lectura, right? The one that dual immersion uses. So it's a similar program that used for the Spanish reading fluency. So they use very similar. So teachers who are in the dual program are also using something very similar to teach reading to assess our students so that they don't feel that they are separated. They are also part of the same discussion. Do you want to add any more about EL or special ed?
Thank you, Dr. Hyder. Really, when we're teaching reading and the science, when we're talking about that term science of reading, we're talking about a body of knowledge over decades of research with multi-disciplines, neurocognitive science, psychology, so brain science. It's good for all students, so it's not to a specific students. And when we learn this knowledge through this professional development, it covers all components of literacy: vocabulary, writing, phonemic awareness, the awareness of sounds and how to articulate them. And it actually also teaches our students, our teachers, specifically what the sounds of English compared to Spanish and how do we need to address specific instruction for our English learners in a new way, being aware and having just know better, do better, having better knowledge.
Thank you, that helps to know. So really, we're not talking about sort of a singular curriculum. This is really an understanding, right, of how we can get at reading, and once you understand that, you can apply it in a variety of ways. And that leads me to my second question, because obviously our parents are a critical part of our children's success. And is there a way that we could offer some type of training, right, along this line to help parents understand how to help their children learn and read? And you mentioned in many cases, students that are fortunate enough to have a household where they encourage reading, books are present in the home, and our kids are in that situation. Our kids, both parents, my wife and I, have college education, graduate degrees. But we both read. She reads a lot more than I do. But books are present. But even, I'll be honest, even we, as our children are growing, other than throwing books in front of them and making sure there's books in the house, we don't necessarily have the knowledge and the strategy of how to get them to approach that. when to transition from one type of book and reading to another. We ask those questions, and we're consider ourselves relatively educated and astute, but we still need help in how to get at reading, because it is the most fundamental thing that we can do with our children from a very early age. You hear about it, and it's still something that should go on, because I think also we think reading to your kids and your kids reading, that's for little kids, right? That sometimes it stops around that 11, 12, but it's no different as they work their way through high school and beyond. I imagine there's still strategies and techniques for helping them learn to read at higher levels, which in turn makes them better writers, which is really important. So anyway, that's a lot, but I mean, the parent component is really important to me, and I think a lot of us that know that our parents need help. And that includes all parents, so cultural competency, inclusive, all that.
Yeah, and you bring a good point, and I have to share an anecdote. Like, whenever I come for board presentations, I'm always trying to anticipate, okay, what will board members want to know? What will they ask? I'm stressed about it. But this issue, this topic, and I'm not even an expert. These ladies here, I just picked Amy because I work with her more. They're all experts. They can go on, and I've learned a lot from them. I can go on and on. I have to say, and I think everybody will admit, like when I was teaching, I taught a lot of wrong way. Like what I learned from this, the way we were teaching, telling kids just read a book and you're gonna learn just because I'm giving you a book you like. No, no, no. That may work for kids who are getting lots of help from home, but for most kids, that doesn't work. You have to teach them the science of reading. How, like if you go to classes where teachers are using, they are actually moving their lips and showing them how does the p sound comes out, where is the kids are, you'll see their kids are. So it is very detailed, and I'm not gonna say we can teach all those strategies to parents, but there are strategies we can teach parents what is important. Like just to give you by the way, I recommend you folks, if you really care, and it's not just like it's this podcast like opened my eyes, because they would always say, in US, I would hear, even as director, the reading war. I'm like, what is reading war? I didn't understand. But this podcast, if you listen, it will really open your eyes on how we did wrong with too many of our students by following certain reading strategies. Like, just to give you an example, if you go on YouTube, like lots of kids, when they say, there is a blue book, and the kid, you can see the kid is reading, this is a blue book, this is a blue car, this is a red. But what's happening is that, and then you think that, oh, my kid can read, oh, he's reading, but they don't know how to read. They've memorized, this is the red, they can see the color, and they see a car. This is the blue umbrella, they see. So those are lots of myths about reading that we have, and I think if we have our literacy TOAs, and I'm not just saying literacy TOAs will do it, but we'll try to work with parents that, just rote memorization is not reading. We really have to break it down into how the words are sounded out. Sorry, that's a long answer to your question. Yeah.
So to add to this, the TOAs that we proposed, or suggesting, I guess, not proposed, that's one thing. But the more teachers that we train in letters, the more our instruction changes and the way that we support our families changes. For example, I've been teaching here a long time. I've been doing like kindergarten boot camp or parent nights, literacy nights. And last year with my team, because I had a definite better foundation about the science of reading, we revamped what we were telling parents and how we were engaging parents and the suggestions we were making. And we had one of the best turnouts for our literacy night, and it was very much targeted at student need, and we had our interpreters coming. So my message to you is, the more people we get trained, administrators, teachers, instructional assistants, anybody that's working with students, I promise you that parent component is going to be naturally happening, because we are changing, right? As we learn, we change, and we do better every time. So that's my suggestion.
Mr. Flores, you done? Thank you very much. Mr.
I think my colleagues have kind of answered all the, asked all the questions. So I'm just going to say I can see the passion. I can see the passion in every one of you that we want to do the right thing for our students. And as I was just kind of glimpsing through this, I can see the research that you've done. You know, your objectives are right on. You know, this is what we want to do. This is what we want, you know, I'm excited. I don't know what to say. They've asked all the questions, but I just want to let you know that I'm excited about this too, because I'm a bilingual person. And I know I always look at Grimes's numbers, and you guys know that Grimes has always been up here. Why? Because when you think in two ways and you read in two ways, your mind opens up, and I like that research. You're trying to see how the students comprehend as they read. And that's the thing. I've always talked to students, and I've always told them, the success to your careers is when you read and you comprehend what you're reading. I've always told my daughters, grab the newspaper, grab a magazine, read, and let me know what it's about. Comprehend what you're reading. And I love the research that you're doing. I'm excited. I love the shirts. And let me know how much it costs. And I'll buy a shirt. If I have to, I'll buy a shirt for every single one of our board members, because I will wear it with pride. Because the right to read. We have, you know, the right to read. So thank you. I don't have more to say. I think all the questions were answered. I was looking at my notes, and I think everything is done. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you that is part of this literacy task force. Thank you very much for your passion, your love, and for doing the right thing for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go, I want to ask another question, please. First of all, when do you believe all the teachers, all the staff will be trained? Will it be by the end of this year? What's your projection?
No, like the folks who did the training, they can tell you it's 8 full days of training, and I have to give them credit. They did it during their spring break, they did it during their summer break, they did it after school, and it's very intense. They have to do online research, they have to work with their students, so it's literally almost 80, 90 hours of work. So we can only pull, this year we have about 20 training days scheduled. So hopefully we can probably do one more cohort this year. But to do the full training, probably 20, 25 for all teachers. And now, initially we were focusing on our primary teachers, but now we have some, like Ellie, 5th grade teacher. Because teachers are realizing that even older kids, they have missing gaps, and they need to know these things so that they can address their kids who are falling behind, so that they can fill that gap before they go to middle school.
And on our timeline on page 38, you'll kind of see our professional learning, just phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, when we hope to, by long-term, have everyone trained.
Thank you. And then I would believe during the staff meeting time, we'll probably have a lot of dialogue, and even if you haven't been trained, there'll be a lot of information exchange. When you have the literacy Google site with resources, is that the resources that you've listed here, or are you talking about classroom teachers, they design something that correlates with a Wonders unit, and they post it, and then someone else can go and borrow that when they do the same? Is that what we're looking at?
So our book with all the links are available for teachers, and we have created some resources that we have already shared with teachers, but our goal is to create a more comprehensive Google site with a lot more information. So that's still in works. We have not shared that with teachers. We will share that with teachers moving forward, but down the road, we also want our teachers, because as we said, we saw like 30 classrooms with wonderful instruction. And our teachers, I think there has been a shift in our thinking too. Teachers are willing to open their doors. They are willing to go to other classrooms and learn from each other. So we are going to encourage teachers, even give them stipends to record themselves and put it on the video site. Like, that's something we have seen other districts are doing. And we are thinking that maybe we can give teachers some kind of reward that, hey, come visit my class. When do you want to see? You want to see a lesson on how to address EL students who may have some speech needs, and so we'll ask teachers to welcome other teachers so that teachers can see each other, and those things we can do through the Google site. So we still have not finalized everything that will be there.
I believe you're going to have a lot of participation in that part. You know, like public speaking for most people is scary, but having another teacher have to evaluate what you're doing, and you don't really understand everything. But if you give them a chance to do that, I think you're going to have huge participation, and you'll see such huge growth. I was curious, when you mentioned Amy, I think your name is Amy, that we were going, when you were saying you were going to universities to, for some suggestions, my thought was always, we haven't really prepared our teachers to be good literacy instruction, or teachers. And so do we have universities here that really are teaching students in student teaching this way, or are we leaving it to school districts and master teachers who may have these skills and teach those kids? I mean, I'm just curious to see what we will be getting from the universities that we aren't doing better when we start this.
Agreed. So I've been a master teacher for a few years now, well, more than that, and an induction coach. And as I'm seeing these new teachers coming in, they do not have a strong literacy background. And I feel that a lot of our universities are they're doing a disservice. So I think the goal here is maybe us finding a university. I know nothing locally is available at this point teaching the science of reading. But if we can maybe get out there and connect, or communities see what we're doing, maybe universities will kind of grasp that concept. It is definitely coming forward. So we're hoping that more universities are going to provide that strong literacy background in the science of reading, and then for us to be able to partner with those universities and grab those credential candidates that are already getting, their training, and then we can provide them with the extra support. That's kind of a big goal. It's kind of towards the end of our timeline, but it is definitely something that we want to keep researching as we're working on the task force.
Well, my hat's off to all of you for all the hard work you've done, because I think this is the most important thing we can possibly do in this district. Because we need to have kids, their future is in our hands, and we need to give it to them, and this is how it's going to happen. So thank you so, so much from the bottom of my heart and the board. I know everyone here believes very strongly in what you're doing, and thank you for all the hard work. Appreciate it. Our next presentation is Bus Pass Update, Business Services. Assistant Superintendent Fromm.
Good evening, and I would like a shirt too. Those shirts are amazing.
They are.
So I would like to introduce and invite up here our transportation team, as they're going to present an update to you on our bus passes that we're about to implement. So I would like to invite to the podium Eric Richardson, our Director of Transportation.
Good evening, Board President Joanne Thorne Ojeda, the Board, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, Executive Cabinet, and also community members. Board Pass Project. This is huge, and I want to make sure we're understanding how huge this is. First of all, before I get there, I want to kind of give you an idea of what our team looks like. This is Regina Parks. She's the operations supervisor. Speared a lot of this bus pass project, because without her, it would have been totally tough to do it by myself. I appreciate it. We also have Albert, which is our vehicle maintenance operator. Our transportation staff consists of both driver trainers, Diane Peck and Melissa Hernandez. We have 3 dispatchers, which is Veronica Carrion, Linda Castanenza, Claudia Gonzalez, and we do have a replacement for our admin administrator. She started on Monday. Her name is Elizabeth Caracamo. So we're completely staffed. Now, our department consists basically of 47 bus drivers. I want to say thank you first, because this year we've hired 8 brand new drivers. And you have no idea how much we appreciate you guys for helping out with that, because everybody knows last year was a complete disaster throughout the state, throughout the nation. We were able to hire 8 this year, and we started that roughly in July. This has made a difference. Not only with that, we have 9 in training. So we have a class of 9 drivers, and realistically, they should be done, completely finished by the beginning of the year. in school bus world doesn't happen. It does not happen. 17 drivers within 6 months doesn't happen. And once again, without your help, it could not have happened. And thank you again, I appreciate it. We have 7 transportation aides, 5 mechanics, also 1 custodial yard assistant. This completes our staff. And just to give you a little update on our statistics, we transport approximately 2,000 students daily, 432 SPED students transported daily, including overflow students and McKinney-Bento students. This is every day. Our statistics are 18 general ed routes, 29 SPED routes, and we have 72 buses. Now, the big concept. The big concept is, once again, the Bus Pass project. We'd like you to know that the Bus Pass projects will be bus passes for all eligible bus riders. If they are eligible to ride the bus, they can and will receive a bus pass. Now, we have about 4,000 bus passes that's going to be printed. Actually, it's in the process of being printed right now. And on those bus passes, they will indicate the student's first and last name, their school site, their actual bus stop, their student ID number, and also on the back of the card, it will consist of the bus rules. So each student that's eligible for a bus pass will have this on the actual bus pass ticket. And I want to show you just basically a sample of what that looks like. This is pretty much a mock-up of what we chose to use as our bus pass. Everything on here, like I said, once again, the back of the bus pass, it was an easy way for us to just throw the rules on there at the same time. We started this program, a pilot program, back in March of 23, which was last school year. We went from March 23 to June 23, the last day of the year last year, and we chose 2 sites. We chose Colton High School TOPS class, and we chose Paul Rogers mild and mode class, mild and mode students. Now, once we decided to choose those 2 classes, basically it was a pilot program to actually see how it's going to work. And first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Ortiz. Where are you? Thank you so much for starting this and sticking with us and getting this thing started. I mean, it was a big challenge, as you know, but I'd like to thank you for seeing it through with that pilot program. Also, Greg Frum, thank you for continuing it, because it was a start, and once we started moving and came to the summer, you jumped in and just helped us to finish that. Now, this pilot program ended in June. The program is still going right now. We have students that still want to use their ID and check it and scan it every day. We still allow that. It was a success, and they're getting practice every day is what we feel. As long as they understand that this is what we're doing every day, they like it, they get on the bus, they smile, and they can't wait to do it. So we still allow them to use that. Now, the transportation boundaries of this pilot program, along with the bus pass, the walking radius for all eligible students living within the boundaries. If they're within the boundaries, they will not be eligible for bus pass. For example, the elementary students, they cannot get a bus pass if they're within the 1.5 miles within their school limit, their boundaries. Middle school, it's 2 miles, and for high school, it's 3 miles, okay? So if they're within that radius, they would not be eligible for bus passes. We're looking at the bus pass distribution October 21st. This is the projection date, and it will be at 850 East Washington Street. It will start at 8 a.m. Now, what we'll do, we'll have time set up for 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for all elementary schools or students. from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., all middle and high school students. Those students who do not pick up their cards on that day, we will still have those cards divided by schools and alphabetized, and our drivers will give these bus passes to the students that are on their bus. So they will not be in a position to where they can't get the bus pass or they missed it that day. There will be opportunities for them to get their bus pass. And we're going to start that immediately right after the 22nd, which is that Monday, the 23rd. Okay?
Getting into the production of our bus passes, they are currently being produced right now, being printed by CI Solutions, and we will be receiving them in about 3 to 4 weeks. So that's why our production date for distribution is projected to be on October 21st. So all printing of new cards and replacements after we receive those 4,000 cards will be managed and maintained directly from our transportation department. The application process. Applications will be sent out to all eligible bus riders through Parent Square. A survey and application will be placed on the district's transportation website after the distribution date of 10/21. We had 3 memos projected to go out weekly via Parent Square beginning Monday just passed on the 18th, again on September 25th, and Monday, October 2nd. Our first round was successful. We've started to receive phone calls from parents that have applied. They're already asking questions. We have over 120 applications in process already in about 4 days. Our department is also looking into advancing to other ways for our parents to be able to locate their students on our school buses by tracking them through our Stop Finder tool. Beginning the 24-25 school year, transportation will be adding the capability for parents to track their student on any bus route using that tool, Stop Finder, through TransFinder. When students get on the bus, they'll scan their cards when they're loading and unloading the bus. This will allow the parents to obtain the information on their student's location and arrival times to each stop. It's kind of a little hard to see, but that's box on that bus dashboard. That's a picture of the Zonar Z-Pass scanner. That is where the students will scan their bus pass when they're entering and exiting the bus. That's all I got.
A new beginning. This new beginning in the school bus transportation industry will show that not only the state of California, but everybody is trying to go electric. These 2 buses, Bus 33 and Bus 85, these were the last 2 buses that we received, and actually we received these buses during the pandemic. So that tells you what, 2020, during that time we received, and both of these buses are CNG buses. Now, last Friday, we received 2 buses, which is Bus 87 and Bus 86. These are the 2 new buses that will be added to our fleet. Bus 87, it is a transit, okay, which seats 81 students, 81 passengers. And if you notice on the right picture, all buses now, which are different from when we rode the bus, but all buses must have seat belts now. We have buses there that are older that they do not have seat belts, but every bus that we order now must, by law, have a seat belt. It's not illegal for them not to have them, but they're making them all with seat belts now. Bus 87, once again, it's a transit. We're in the process of getting that bus going through I guess, all of the licensing, and we have a date of October the 5th. CHP will come out and certify these buses. So my thoughts are, hopefully we can get this bus up and running by mid-October. We have to wait for the papers from the DMV and those type things. We have everything in it with the exception of the cameras, and we have a date of October 7th or 8th, and those cameras will be installed. And so as soon as we get that taken care of, we'll be able to put both of those buses on the road. And the other bus is bus 86. It arrived same day. It's a wheelchair bus. It will seat up to six wheelchairs. The capacity is 39, so we can put 39 students plus up to 6 wheelchair students on that bus. And of course, the 39 students must be kinder or smaller elementary students, but it will seat 39. Now, our fleet, we do have 4 electric buses right now. We have a Bluebird, which is on the left, and a Motive electric bus on the right. They're looking at going completely green. Now, the state of California, they've discontinued, a lot of buses. Basically, we were in the last phase where we could order a CNG bus. That order date for the Bluebird was January 23. So if we didn't get an order in by that time, it was off, it was done. That's simply because the people who make these buses, who make the engines, Cummins, decided to not make them anymore. So in other words, they were making engines, but these engines were for trucks only. So that cut the complete, school bus industry out. And not only that, of course, the diesel buses, 2024, they will stop making those as well. And that's in the state of California. Now, I did find out that CNG buses will continue to be made, but not in the state of California. If we needed or wanted a CNG bus, we'd have to go outside of the state in order to receive or get or purchase a CNG bus. Now, as you know, our fleet is majority CNG. We depend on CNG. We like them, the mechanics like them, the drivers like them. They're major. So they completely stopped this. Now, I made a phone call today over to Bus West to try to get some information on the bus we're expecting, one of the buses we're expecting. And he gave me some information stating that we will have one more opportunity this year to purchase CNG buses. He didn't give me a date. He said it'll be coming up shortly, but they stopped it during those times. I think the other date was March, if I'm not mistaken. March 23 was the last time we could order the Thomas buses, CNG. He said that it will be coming up within the next 2 or 3 months where we can purchase CNG. Now, my thoughts were, I need to find out also when the grants are coming out. Because as you know, once we get the money for the grants, the money is very small, very minimal to us purchasing the bus. For an example, the buses may cost $235,000. Once we get a $205,000 grant, the district is only out of, what, $30,000 for a $250,000 bus. So we look for all grants, and we were just fortunate enough to get a grant on the last one that came around where we have these 3 buses, and all of them are coming from grants. Like I said, these 3 buses are CNG. They're going to consist of 2 wheelchair and 1 transit bus. That transit bus is an 87 passenger. We're expecting those in November. Now, the future of California, they're looking at strictly electric, propane, and gasoline only. Okay, so it's no more diesel. When we get our grants for these CNG buses or these electric buses, we have to crush a diesel bus. So in other words, that's that $205,000 that we get. They want to make sure that no diesel buses are on the road again. So they give us 60 days to crush the buses after we receive the bus. So I think we don't have very many left. We've been crushing about 6 or 7. So We don't have very many diesel buses left, but especially after these last three, I think we have maybe 2 left after that. About 2 left after this grant period is over. California, they're looking at mandating the electric bus. Now, according to this bill that was passed through Governor Newsom and the Senate, they're creating a section in the Ed Code requiring districts, all districts, to purchase zero emissions only. Basically, it consists of all the electric buses starting in 2035. So at that time, it's going to be strictly zero emissions. So during that time, 2035, they will give school districts a 5-year, okay, where you can apply, 2040. They'll give you a 5-year extension. So in other words, when 2040 get here, and for some reason, those buses aren't going good for us, because basically in our area, once we go to Ritchie Canyon and do some other things, you know that the buses, the mileage is low. I mean, truth, it's low. I mean, we can't run all the way over like we do CNG. We have to kind of time our routes and make sure our routes are going here and make sure they're coming back here. But to have those buses to go up to Ritchie Canyon and come all the way down and to help out somewhere else, right now, today, it's impossible. Truth, it's impossible. So what we do with our electric buses now, we put them on shorter routes. Okay, so those routes are making smaller, distances throughout the district, and they're able to come back and be charged again. Okay, the good thing about it, once we looked at some buses, some more buses, now they've gotten up to 100 miles. They say 120 miles for the new electric buses. The thing about it is, I'll give them 100 miles because they've advanced. But once we turn on AC, once we turn on the heat, once we have 3, 4 wheelchairs on the bus, that 100-mile radius begins to drop. Okay, it begins to drop because we're definitely going to keep the AC going at all times, especially when it's 105, 110 degrees. So that's where we are. The Bus Pass project and our new CNG projects. Do you have anything else? And if you have any questions or concerns?
Thank you very much. It was very informative. Any questions?
I have one question.
Mr. Fuentes.
One quick question. When a student gets on the bus, scans their card, and then they get off the bus and they forget to scan their card, what happens?
Okay. What happens is, once they get on the bus, of course, they scan the card. Now, if they step off that bus and do not scan the card, we would have the idea, the thought that he's still on the bus, or the student's still on the bus. Okay, so our thing is, our drivers are making sure they're stopping the students to make sure they scan the card, because once they scan the card, it tells everything about the student, where he got off, when he got on. Okay, so we're making sure that.
So the responsibility would be on the driver then to make sure that every student scans in and out. So because we have routes where you got like 30 kids getting off at one time, and they're wanting to get off that bus. A lot of times, I want to get off the bus. But so it's going to be the driver's responsibility to make sure that every student scans in and out of that bus so that mom and dad know that the student is home or heading to school.
And that's the way we want to keep track. Because like I said, it's a big project, and for us to have this project going, it's really a blessing, because, it kind of eases some time off of our mind instead of us thinking we have a lost kid. A lost child is here, a lost child is there. We know that it's scanned.
And what I really like is now the parents will be able to track their student, when they're on the bus, which is really cool. I think that'll give the parents a peace of mind knowing, hey, Junior's coming home, or Junior's heading to school, And the reason I say junior, because I'm junior. But that's really cool. I really, really like that, and I'm hoping that everything goes well. I'm not a big fan of the electric buses. You didn't hear that from me. But because of the mileage and all of that, I'd rather have them hybrid if there's a way to get hybrid buses. But I don't know if they make those things or not. But I congratulate you for getting our fleet up to date, bringing all that stuff to date. I see that you did your research on trying to find out what the state of California is doing, and that's, I want to compliment you for doing that too, and figuring those things out. And I have a young man down my street that always gets picked up in his wheelchair, and I've seen the new bus pick him up. So I live over there by Grimes. So once again, congratulations on getting our transportation and our buses up to date, getting everything up to par, and congratulations on this new bus pass, because I think that's going to show our kids accountability, how to be accountable, making sure they do what they got to do when they get on the bus. It's like when we use local transportation. You know, if you have a bus pass, you got to scan it. It's the same thing. So I really appreciate your hard work, Eric. Regina, thank you very much for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Anyone else? Mr. Flores?
Just to hone in a little bit on the technology, which I think is great, but how we're going to implement and use it so that we can keep tabs on, as the students get on the bus and get off the bus, because I think, Mr. Fuentes, you're right, you know, sometimes these kids are getting on 20, 30 at a time. So who's tracking that data, and when is it available? I mean, I assume it's not the bus driver getting in real time, hey, I've had 40 scans on, I'm at the end of my route, I've only got 35 scans out, I better make sure nobody's on the bus, or what, right? There's got to be a reconciliation at some point. When does that happen? End of the day, end of the route, end of the week?
Well, we are in the process of hiring a whole position to monitor bus pass system. It will be immediately generated through Zonar, the GPS tracking system, where the parents will be able to also see the bus. That information is notified right back to us immediately. So in the future of transportation, we are also looking into adding tablets to every bus so that the driver can see students scanning on and scanning off. They can visually see what our office staff will be able to see through Zonar. So that's what we're looking at right now. We're going to be cross-training our dispatchers, myself, everyone inside, Eric as well, to be able to monitor the Zonar, so we see who's scanning on and who's scanning off. We'll be able to contact the driver to say, hey, so-and-so didn't get off, but you've passed that stop. Have you been able to check your bus out? We'll be able to monitor that stuff, and then eventually transportation staff, the drivers will be able to do that themselves. By having that tablet, they'll be able to see every student scanned on and every student scanned off by their tablet, not just by visually watching them do it.
Okay, great. And I think that's the ideal situation, is that real-time data. So as a bus driver, I know I've had 50 scans on, I've got 50 scans off, I'm clear. Obviously, you still have to do your walkthroughs and all that. But that would be great, because I think that really utilizes the technology effectively, so we ensure that kids are where they're supposed to be. And if you are missing somebody, you know who that is, right? Because that's the one that's missing, and you can notify dispatch or whatever that process is going to be, and then obviously get back to the parents quickly, and we can just assure that kid is safe and sound wherever he or she might be. We've talked a little bit about the buses. I am concerned about where California is headed, because I think it's pretty inevitable that they're going to eventually outlaw likely any kind of fossil fuel generated bus that could include propane and others. I really think they're doing that for passenger vehicles. We're seeing that. 2030 is when they're going to stop producing here in California. It's probably inevitable. While 2040 feels like a long way out, it's really not, especially if you consider our bus system. We were one of the first school districts to adopt CNG technology early on. AQMD, that was a grant going way back when. I think, Frank, you remember, Pat? And it was very exciting because we were kind of at the cutting edge of that. But we've also built our infrastructure around that. Our bus yard, our refueling, all of it is built around CNG. If that goes away, or really I think when it goes away, we have to re-envision and reinvest in what our bus yard, our transportation system and infrastructure looks like. So I do think we need to start thinking about that now, so that when we build, knock on wood, a new bus yard outside of Colton High School, we will have infrastructure built into it that will meet the needs for 40 years beyond that, because I think it's inevitable. We will have to go to some form, whether it's purely electric or hydrogen or something, but the fossil fuel route is not going to be the future in California. I think it's pretty evident. So that's something that is, I think, important for us to start thinking about. But the last question I have, just around, I mean, I think it's great that we're going to have this system, bus ID cards. There was a lot of talk about the boundaries, and I understand that if you're within the boundaries, you typically don't have a bus stop and aren't going to utilize the bus. 3 miles is still a hike for a high school kid, I think. You know, it's always interesting to me, 2.5 miles away, I don't qualify to ride the bus, but if it's easier to walk half a mile to the bus stop instead of 2.5 miles to school, Is that something that we're going to allow students to do if the parents reach out and say, hey, here's the situation. It's 2.5 miles for my kid to walk to school. It's half a mile in the other direction to the bus stop. Technically, we're within the distance that he shouldn't ride or she shouldn't ride, but can we make an exception because that's just the way, it makes much more sense for my kid. Is there flexibility? I'll give you another example, and I know this is a real world example because a parent brought this to my attention, especially now with late start. Parent drops the kids off, and the high school kid gets dropped off at grandma's house, and will be leaving and taking the bus from grandma's house because parent has to go to work, and the kids don't start school now till late in the morning. So the address is not the home address, it's grandma's address, which is where they'll be taking the bus from. Are we accommodating for that? I mean, I'm hoping that there's some flexibility built into the system to accommodate for all the different family situations we have in our district.
We are accommodating. I mean, the thing about it is that we see so many different things, so many different scenarios, and we understand. I mean, like, for example, in the Bloomington area, where we have all the trucks and no sidewalks and those type of things, and those students are within walking distance. But we know it's not safe for them to walk to school. So we set up bus stops in that area, because if we have a bus in that area, and especially the bus is not full, we're not going to just have these students walking on the street. It's dangerous. Okay, so we accommodate. We do accommodate.
Thank you for that. And I appreciate it. Just, again, at the end of the day, we want these kids to go to school. So let's get them on the bus. They want to get on the bus. It's like our nutrition services. We want to feed the kids. I know that we have some bureaucracy and some things that we have to adhere to, but the goal is to encourage the kids to get to school. So inevitably, you're going to have somebody show up that lost their bus pass. Obviously, they'll be able to ride, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, we'll get them where they need to go. So just want to make sure that that philosophy is still in place. So
we don't turn nobody down from
there
the
you
bus.
go.
If they're at the bus stop, they will ride.
Get them to school.
We'll get them to school.
Excellent. Thank you. All right.
Board President, I have one more question if I can.
Okay.
One more question. Just an example, I was just thinking right now. So we have 50 students on the bus. The 50 students get on the bus, but for some reason, one student sneaks in because he wants a ride to his friend's house. So all of a sudden, the bus driver's doing the count, and she's got 51 kids on the bus. What happens to that one student that snuck on the bus? Do we have we call mom and dad, hey, pick up your kid, or are we going to drop them off there? Or do we have any?
We're actually currently working on our rules and policies and procedures right now. So right now, to school, no school student will be left. Coming home from school, if we have our scans on and we're over one, we need to find out who that student is. Once we locate that student, find out who they are, we just had a discussion today. I'm an advocate for verbal warnings first, and then we start the process there. If they keep continuing to do this, then we have the referral policy as well. If this is a matter of you needing to get to a certain stop, you have to ride with your friend and you were not issued a bus pass, then we start the process of maybe we need to reach out to this parent. Have your parent call us to find out what the process is and what is needed for this student. If the student needs to take a bus because of after-school reasons, they need to be together with their friend, but they live close to home when no one's there, then of course we're going to be able to issue them a temporary bus
That's
pass.
great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to end with our future goal for the pass. The technology we purchased for the bus passes has the ability down the road for all students to only carry one ID badge. So our future, we look forward to having this as their bus pass, their library card, their meal card, all rolled in one. The technology is there, so that is our long-term goal, and I just wanted to end with that.
I have one question about the card, coming from a kindergarten teacher. How are you going to make sure kids have that pass in kindergarten? They don't know their name even. I mean, I remember going through this when we started, lunch passes. We didn't distribute those until the minute they walked, in the line at the door because they don't remember them. And so are you putting them on lanyards? Are they really just going to carry their pass in and you think it'll last?
Yeah, we will be providing lanyards for all bus passes, but currently all kindergarten students that are transported on our buses are required to have a name tag. Those name tags are generally generated by the teachers, by the school site, but now will just be replaced, that name tag will be replaced with their bus pass. So any student that needs help to scan on, our SDC students that are physically unable to scan, bus drivers will be able to do that. And since all kindergartners will have to be either met at the stop by an older sibling or a parent, that's also a way to help make sure that they have their bus pass and get scanned on and scanned off.
And when the student gets off the bus, you know for sure that child is supposed to get off at that stop and not another one. I mean, that's real, that's happened a lot with
Yes.
kids getting off the wrong stop.
So currently, their name tags are generated with the bus route and the bus stop on it. So their bus route number and bus stop, so driver knows their name and everything, because they can't really talk. So the bus pass will have that same information.
And the bus driver will know,
Yes.
don't get off your honey oak.
Yes, this will allow our drivers to, in the beginning of the school year, when they're seeing their bus route, and they're not only bidding on their bus route, they'll be able to see a list of their projected students that they're going to have. They'll be able to know how many students are at each stop for each bus route before they even start the beginning of their route.
And we had a good idea right here, now putting in, I have the kids put it on their backpack, if they remember the backpack. Okay. Oh, okay. That works, all right. I just wondering, because I've experienced that a lot. Thank you. This was really informative, thank you so much. Any other questions?
Just a party thought, I think it's worth stating this because it's, a lot of districts have gone a different direction. This is the value of having an in-house transportation department. A lot of districts have gone to contracting out bus services. We won't name any names, but one of the largest ones in the state, that's the neighbor, contracts out, nothing wrong with that, that's their choice. But when you have an in-house department, not only can you do things like this, be innovative, be creative, but we have awesome staff that are committed to the students and care about the kids and are part of the team. So our classified folks that you have on your team are bus drivers. They're part of the Colton family, and so they're as vested in the kids' safety and the well-being of our students as anybody, as any other employee. So I know that question comes up sometimes about services like transportation where you have opportunities to look at contracting out, but here I think this shows the value of why we want Colton Joint Unified School District employees driving those buses. So thank you for that.
Thank you very, very much. All right, we'll start on our action session. Is there anyone who would like an item to be considered separately? I'm going to pull item 7.2. Any other? No? Okay. I would like a motion, please, to approve action items 7.1 through 7.42, with the exception of 7.2 and 7.33, which was withdrawn at the adoption of the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
With Fuentes? Okay.
Yes.
Second? Okay. I have a motion by Board Member Fuentes and seconded by Board Member Ibarra to approve action items 7.1 through 7.42, with the exception of 7.2 and 7.33, which was withdrawn at the adoption of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? So on a motion by Board Member Fuentes and seconded by Board Member Ibarra, carried on a 6-0 vote, the board approved action item. Oh, I didn't. Huh? Okay, then, a 5-0, okay. It'll be a 5-0 vote. I apologize, I didn't hear what you did. So on a motion by Board Member Fuentes and Board Member Ibarra, carried on a 5-0 vote, the board approved action items 7.1 through 7.42, and with the exception of 7.2 and 7.33, which is withdrawn at the adoption of the agenda. Okay, 7.2. Could I have a motion for approval, please?
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion by Board Member Harrell and a second by Board Member Fuentes to approve for action item 7.2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstention, 1. So on a motion by Board Member Haro and Board Member Fuentes, carried on a 5-0-1 vote by abstention. The board approved action item 7.2. Okay, thank you very much. Administrative reports. Item 8.1, do we have any questions? No? 8.2, approved change order for the 900 Washington Suite 100 Professional Learning Center boardroom project per Board Resolution 2374. Nothing? And no facilities update, Mr. Chang? Okay. Item 8.4, ACE update. Nothing tonight. 8.5, do we have a CSCA? Yes, come on up, please.
Good evening, board members, Thorne Rojeda, board member Superintendent Miranda, and members of the audience. My name is Nicole Figueroa, and I am the Chapter 2nd Vice President of CSCA, Colton Chapter 244. You may remember a few meetings ago, our chapter president, Anthony Guadarrama, spoke about the organizational structure of CSCA and its strength. I'm going to recap a little and follow up with some exciting news. CSCA represents over 250,000 classified members in the state of California, making us not only the largest classified union in the state, but also the nation. The state of California is broken up into 10 areas, having its own area director. Our president, our association president, first vice president, second vice president, secretary, past president, and all 10 area board members make up the state executive board. The state executive board normally conducts its monthly meetings at headquarters in San Jose, 4 times a year. However, the board conducts out-of-town meetings. Now the exciting news. CSCA Chapter 244 has been chosen to host the next out-of-town state board meeting. On Saturday, October 21st, the CSCA State Executive Board will be conducting their monthly meeting at the Whitmore Auditorium at our own very Colton High School. I would like to cordially invite the CJUSD Board, Superintendent Miranda, Executive Board, and all members of the audience to this event. The meeting will run from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. with a continental breakfast will be provided prior to the meeting. Again, that's Saturday, October 21st, from 9 to 11 at the Whitmore Auditorium, Colton High School. An email will be sent out with further details. I hope everybody can join and celebrate as Colton Joint Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a MAC update? Oh. ROP.
We did have an ROP meeting last week. Before the board meeting, we did have a meet and greet with Dr. Engel, which was very well attended. Thank you to Dr. Miranda and Ms. Peterson for attending. We also had at our CRIROP meeting, I want to bring up that we're trying to highlight a different program each board meeting. And the first board meeting that we did it was Colton High School, their auto program, Mr. Meza. He did a wonderful job with his presentation, showing everything that the Colton High School program is doing. And as a side note, he has 3 classes of auto shop, and both the UKIPA program, they only have, the other programs in CRIROP only have 2. And so he gave all the explanations of everything the kids had to learn, and he did a great job. So please congratulate Mr. Mesa. And we did have Mr. Fuentes and I went with Dr. Engel when we went to Colton High School for their walkthrough. He went to see all the programs that Grand Terrace High School, I apologize, is offering. And then I went with him over also to Colton High School. And we are just waiting to set up a new date for the Bloomington High School programs to go take a look at. So, and I would just want to thank Mr. Fuentes for coming to the meeting, because we had 4 people there, and we almost didn't have a quorum, and we've never, ever had that happen. So thank you for being there, Mr. Fuentes. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrell. Next item is Superintendent's communique. Dr. Miranda?
Yes, good evening, Board President, board members, and Executive Cabinet members of the audience. Short communique, I hope. So I want to start with our Community Cabinet. So just pleased and excited about announcing our first Community Cabinet for the 23-24 school year. We're kicking off this cabinet meeting, Community Cabinet meeting at Joe Baca Middle School on October 25th. And all of you invited, CSCA, everybody, Nicole, please bring the team. The focus is going to be on equity. That's one of our pillars in our district. And so we're going to talk to our students. There's going to be student-led activities and highlighting our students, professional networking opportunity with our partners in the county, and also a public discussion regarding the new ethnic studies requirement in K-12 education. So that's our community cabinet, and you see the flyer up there. I want to thank Eric Perez, our new communication specialist, who put that together, and the word is out, so get the word out, please. We want to see as many people at our community cabinet on October 25th, so please get out there. You're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of students there. Thank you. Legislative updates. Wanted to start bringing this to the board. I'm part of SANDEBS, as the board knows, and so is Mr. Fuentes. So I'm part of this advocacy group for legislative bills. And so there are a lot of new laws that are being proposed and being discussed in the state legislature. Several have big effects on public education. And so there are final deliberations that are occurring now in both houses, and they're going to be concluding here pretty soon. Just to highlight just a couple, two immediate ones that I want to just make not only the board but the community aware, are two that are going to have an immediate impact on our district. And one of them relates to public or school facility bonds. And there were going to, the state was planning on putting something on the March ballot, but they've decided to hold those off and delay them until the November election, general election of 2024. And as the board, and you might have noticed one of the items this evening was board approved an action item to survey the community. Last board meeting, we have our financial advisor, Mike Williams, and Greg Crum present on the possibility of seeking out new dollars and a bond, going out for a bond. So I also want to, well, let me just say, finish this, that we're going to be watching this bill very closely, since it really closely related to our bill, or the possibility for us to be going out for a bond. All right, so I also want to highlight a very important bill that's out there, and this really is, I think, great news for us, because it allows the STIRS cap, earning cap for our retirees, to actually go up. So now the cap is, they can only earn about 50% of their salary, so the earnings cap would go up to 70%. That means that we could tap more into this, the experience of our retirees, teachers, and retired administrators, and have them for a little bit longer, since there is a big need. So we're really hoping this gets signed and gets through the legislature really quick. So those are two quick legislative updates I want to highlight. And I think a couple more things here, or the last thing I want to talk about is California recognizes PBIS. The next slide, please. I think there's one more. There we go. California recognizes, the state PBIS recognizes schools and across the state. So we here at CJUSD have school sites that have been working hard to rebuild their PBIS systems and programs since the returning of in-person instruction. 26 of our Colton schools, CJUSD schools, have received recognition from California PBIS Coalition for their implementation during the 22-23 school year. 7 CJUSD schools received platinum recognition, which is the highest level a school can earn. These are the first CJUSD schools ever to reach the platinum level. San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools will be hosting a countywide PBIS recognition showcase on November 8th at the Victoria Gardens Cultural Center in Rancho Cucamonga. So registration information for the showcase will be coming soon from the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, and we'll be forwarding that to the board once we get that. And so we're really proud of the schools who are receiving that recognition. So kudos to all the sites that are implementing this program to fidelity. And with that, that is my communique this evening. So I'll turn it back over to you, Board President.
Thank you, Dr. Miranda. Item 10.1, board member comments. Mrs. Haro, would you like to begin, please?
I just want to thank everyone for being here and for staying with us, because we had a big group and then all of a sudden everybody left. So thank you for sticking with us, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Mrs. Haro. Ms. Sandoval. Nope. Mr. Fuentes, there we go.
Thank you, Board President. Just one highlight, a couple highlights here real quick. Yesterday, Dr. Miranda, I think Dr. Dade, and I were at Grand Terrace Elementary. 10 teachers there at the school received a $250 gift card from the Sheriff's Employees Benefit Association, and they call this Shop with the Cop Teachers Edition. You know, you've heard about Shop with the Cop with the kids, but this is the teacher edition. And the school also received a $2,500 check from SEBA, which is the Sheriff's Association. So it was exciting to see the students. They had the whole school out there. And I had the opportunity to go out there, grab the mic, and have a little bit of fun with the kids. So got them all hyped up. I got them to do the wave and all this crazy stuff. I love to do these things. I love the kids. So congratulations to Grand Terrace Elementary, and congratulations to all those the 10 teachers that received that $250 gift card. Also, just want to highlight, I was at the Bloomington High School homecoming dance, and that's been more than 30 years since I've been to a homecoming dance. So you can tell how old I am now. But I know Ms. Roman, Ms. Wright, we were out there, checking people in. I was giving them a hand. And we had a lot of fun. We were out there with the kids. I was out there with the kids giving those glow sticks to them. I was dancing with them. Mr. Fuentes, he's going to be out there doing something. And it was exciting to see all these kids enjoying the time, enjoying the dance in a safe location. And even had karaoke out in the parking lot, the back area where the multipurpose inn. They set up beautiful tables out there. They had karaoke, and we ended with El Rey by Vicente Fernandez, of course. Mr. Fuentes had us sing, and of course I had all these students around me, and Ms. Roman. We were singing hard, and we had a lot of fun. We ended the night like that, but I know that the students really enjoyed it, and congratulations to our Bruins football team for another win. That's all I have. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Mr. Flores? No? Mr. Ibarra?
No comment.
I have only one. I feel like I haven't been on any campuses for a long time because I had a little problem with my mobility. I finally got a new lift yesterday. It only took a long time to get it back from, when you order something like that, they have to build it before they send it, and it took a long time. So I was the happiest person in this room today because I have freedom again. So I missed a lot of things. If you have something coming up at your school that would be, you would like a visitor, give me a call or an email. I would love to come visit if I can work it out, because I do miss being in the school. I didn't realize how much I missed school until I was cooped up for 4 months at home. So please let me know, and I'd love to come out and see your kids and see what you're doing at your school, because I know there's lots of great stuff happening out there. So thank you very much. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session to discuss the items listed on the closed session agenda. Thank you all for being here tonight. Item 12.1, personnel public employee appointment, discipline, dismissal, release. On a motion by Board Member Flores and seconded by Board Member Sandoval, and carried on a 6-0 vote, the board approved the following. Certificated coaches 4, head junior varsity track co-ed, head varsity swim co-ed, junior varsity football assistant boys 2, certificated regular staff 3, elementary PE teacher, elementary teacher, school librarian. Classified coaches 6, head junior varsity baseball boys, head junior varsity basketball girls, head junior varsity volleyball girls, head varsity baseball boys, head varsity track co-ed, varsity softball assistant girls, volunteer coaches 1, soccer girls, and volunteers general 13. And with that, I bid you good night, everyone.
Yay.